Hi everybody, Mary Abbajay here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm going to start by asking you a couple of questions. First of all, are you a manager who might feel a little burned out from your workload? Do you wish your team would take more ownership of their projects? Have you ever been disappointed in your team's level of performance? And finally, are you truly committed to creating the conditions for your team's success? Well, if you can say yes to any of those things, you've come to the right place, because today we're going to talk about the power of delegation, what great managers do and don't do. Whether you're trying to get better at handing off projects on your plate or you're stuck being the doer, this video is going to be for you, because we're going to talk about the critical skill of delegation, the what, the why, the how you can be effective in this critical leadership skills. We're also going to talk about how you can hold your people accountable for the delegated tasks. And please remember, good delegation isn't just about offloading tasks. It's not about just getting things off your plate that you don't want to do. It is a vital leadership skill that drives performance, that develops people, and ensures that managers, you as a manager, are working at the right level. As a manager, your most critical role is to create the conditions for your people to succeed. Remember, you are a manager of people, not products and not just processes. Your ability to delegate successfully is one of the most critical skills that you can develop. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start with what delegation is and why it's important. Delegation is the act of assigning responsibility and authority to somebody else, usually a direct report. And we do this in order for them to complete specific tasks or make decisions. While you, the manager, must retain overall accountability for the outcome, the act of delegation empowers others to act on your behalf. Now, delegation, as I said before, isn't just about offloading the tasks you don't want to do or think that may be beneath you. Delegation is about thoughtfully dividing the work so that you can succeed, your team can succeed, and the organization can succeed. So let me share with you 6 key benefits to being a good delegator. Number 1 is it frees up time for strategic work. Managers need to focus on big picture priorities like planning, developing people, and driving results. You can't lead well if you're stuck in the weeds. Delegation will help clear your plate of tasks that others can handle. The second key benefit for delegation is that it helps to build your team's capacity and their capability. Delegating gives team members an opportunity to learn, to grow, to take on new responsibilities. It boosts their skill sets, it boosts their confidence and their readiness for promotion. Delegation is how you grow your talent. People need stretch assignments to build their skills. Number 3, delegating can increase the agility and the responsiveness of your people. When authority is pushed to the work, teams can make faster, more informed decisions and actions without the bottlenecks. Empowered teams can move faster and make better decisions. Number 4 is delegation will increase engagement and ownership of your team. When you trust people to take ownership, they feel more invested in, they feel more motivated. Trusting others with meaningful tasks signals that you respect them, and it helps build their buy-in. People are more motivated when they feel ownership over their work. Number 5, it's going to help reduce your risk of burnout. Managers who try to do everything themselves often become overwhelmed, leading to errors, to stress, and to decreased effectiveness. Doing everything yourself is not sustainable. Delegation, my friends, is self-care for leaders. And finally, number 6, and I think this is my favorite, delegation can reveal hidden talents on your team. It can uncover unknown strengths or leadership potential or creativity that might otherwise go untapped. I'll give you a quick example. We do a newsletter every month, and the consultants on my team, we all kind of grumble about it, like who's going to write this month, who's going to write next month. And the newest member of our team said, I'll do it. And we're like, okay, go ahead, do it, try this. And it turned out that she is this amazing writer. It's like we had all this untapped potential that we didn't know unless we finally got so sick of the task ourselves that we delegated it to her. But this is a really great reason to delegate. So those are the 6 reasons to delegate. Let's talk about what gets in our way. So take a moment and really be honest with yourself about what gets in the way for you when you know you should delegate. Here are some common obstacles that many of us face. One is deadlines, right? Things come up fast. Things need to happen fast. It's often quicker if we just do it ourselves, right? That gets in our way. Another thing that gets in our way, and you know who you are, is the control, the need for control. Some of you might be control-ish, some of you might be control freaks. Our need to control things often gets in our way of delegating. Or sometimes we don't trust the person. We don't trust them to do the job. We don't trust them that they have the skills or the experience to make that delegated task happen. Sometimes we don't delegate because we don't want to impose on our people. Oh, their plates are full. Like, I should ask them to do anything more, right? Some of us resist delegating because we fear if we delegate all of our tasks, someone else might ask, what do you need me for? What is my role if I'm delegating everything? Some people don't delegate because they don't know how to delegate. Some people don't delegate because, quite frankly, they worry about who's going to get the credit. And this can happen especially when there's plum projects. If I give this to Kristen, she's going to get the credit. And then finally, and probably the one that hits most of us, or at least this is my big delegation, hairy hill to cross, is that it often feels faster and easier to do it myself. So while all these obstacles may feel valid to you, if you truly want to develop your team, if you really want to upskill your leadership, we need to start looking for more opportunities to delegate. So take the time to ask yourself, am I truly alert for situations where I can help people learn other jobs and take on new responsibilities? What do I have that can be delegated? Who is ready to do it? Who needs development? Or maybe it's who can carry out parts of this assignment. What can they learn? Am I willing to let go of some control to grow other people? Am I willing to train and develop my people to accomplish this task? Am I willing to tolerate mistakes? Am I willing to let go of my way of doing things? Am I wed to a particular way of doing things? And finally, am I willing to manage the delegation process? Delegation isn't giving up responsibility, it's giving up the doing. So, my friends, we've talked about what it is, we've talked about why it is. It's now time to talk about the how. When I think about delegating, I like to think about it as a three-step process, okay? There's the preparation, there's the actual request, and then there's the commitment. Now, the preparation is really about determining what can be delegated and identifying who the person is that you are going to delegate to. We'll call that person the delegatee. It means that you're going to gather all the necessary information that you're going to need to convey. It also might be answering some of the questions that we just went through about what you can delegate, are you willing to delegate, and who's ready to delegate. Okay, step 2 in your delegation is the request. This, my friends, is the big kahuna, right? And if you've done your preparation well, you'll know how to do this. I'm going to give you 5 areas that you want to focus on when you're making a delegation request. The what, the why, the when, the where, the who, and the how. Let's start with the what. When you are delegating, you want to be very specific about what is the task. What is the desired outcome? What does success look like? Try to be as specific and explicit as possible. The next part is the why. Why is this task important? Why this? Why now? Provide context with the why. The why is actually really important when you are developing more junior level people. This helps them understand how this task fits into the whole sort of project or the whole role of the organization or the whole goal of the organization. Provide as much context as you can. This is the learning moment. When? Of course the when. What's the timeline? When is it due? But also in the when, make sure you identify the frequency of feedback or input you want to have. Are there different deadlines, check-ins, or milestones on the project that you're delegating? Make sure you're clear about when things are due. The where. This is another thing that's also very important, especially for junior people. Where can this person go to find resources? Where is the information that they need to complete this project? Ensure that they know how to find help, where to find help, whether it's you or it's somewhere else. The who. The who is about really letting this person understand who else needs to be involved or should be involved, who needs to be consulted, who needs to be informed, who has decision-making authority around this project. And we're going to dig into that a little bit more deeply in a moment. But you want to make sure that you ensure proper lines of communication when you're talking about the who. And finally, the how. This is when you discuss or you articulate your preferred processes. It's okay if you have a certain way you want to do something, but just make sure the other person understands it. So how do you want this project to be completed? Are there certain formats you want them to use? Are there certain, processes you want them to use? Make sure you're really clear with your people. You also want to, in the how, make sure that you are crystal clear about how you want to be engaged or included in the project. So we've got our who, our what, our where, our when, and our how. Be clear and be explicit. Okay, so we've reviewed the 6 buckets of information that you need to include when delegating. The what, the when, the why, the where, the how, and the who. Now, the level of detail that you're going to go into each of these buckets will be very dependent on 2 things: the complexity of the task and the performance readiness and experience of the person. So you got to keep your managerial antenna up so that you are giving the right amount of information, not too much or not too little. So before we go on to the 3rd step of delegating, the commitment, I want to go back up to the who part. Remember when I said part of the who is who has decision-making or authority in this project? This is an essential step or essential aspect of delegating that, quite frankly, many people fail to address. Please don't be that person. You want to clearly let the delegatee know what level of authority or decision-making that they have in regards to the task. I'm going to share with you 5 different levels that you can think about when you're assigning a task and you're thinking about what level of authority or decision-making that they have. First level, level 1, is the do as I say level. This means they basically have no authority or decision-making. You are making the decisions and they are to do exactly what you say. This is fine in certain circumstances, right? The second level is when you reach a decision point, do some research and report back. Let me see where the decision is, and then I will make the decision. Level 3 is you do the research and then you recommend some solutions or some decisions, and then I will make the final decision. Level 4 is when you reach a decision point, you go ahead and decide, but keep me informed. Keep me in the loop, but not in the soup. And then level 5 is act independently. Like, just go do what you're going to do, and you don't even need to tell me. I trust you completely. Now, of course, the level of authority that you're going to give people is going to be very dependent on the type of task it is and your comfort level with their performance readiness. And you do want to make sure that you are explicit. Don't just assume people understand what their level of authority is. For example, a few years back, a teammate member of mine was writing a proposal. And for the most part, our proposals are pretty standard. And, people send proposals to clients after we've talked through them, and I don't need to review them. Except in my mind, there was always like a dollar figure that I thought people should review with me. But did I ever say it explicitly? No, I didn't. And one of my team members made a pretty significant error on the pricing chart of a proposal, such that it was going to cost me out of pocket $10,000 to actually deliver this underpriced proposal. Now, I could have blamed her, but the person I really blamed was me, because when I delegated the job of writing this proposal for this client, I never said to her, I need to review it before you send it to them. So big old lesson learned from me, which is why I'm always up in the catbird seat talking about make sure people understand the level of authority that they have with the project. All right, so we prepared, we've requested. It's time for the 3rd step of delegation, and that is the commitment. Please take the time to ensure that the other person clearly understood what your expectations are. This is a step that many people skip, and then they are sorry afterwards. You can't hold someone accountable for a commitment if they never gave you the commitment. So take a moment at the end of a delegation to ensure that both parties are on the same page about expectations, needs, and wants in regards to this task. Perhaps you do a verbal repeat back. So tell me what is it you're going to do? Or maybe you want a project plan, or maybe you want them to email back to you an understanding of the project. Whatever works for you, make it work. But please don't skip this essential step, because this step ensures that you both leave the conversation with aligned expectations. So I want to close this video with a quick primer on conversations of accountability. As the manager, you are still ultimately responsible for the delegated activities of your team. So you must be prepared to hold people accountable for their commitment. Now for this video, I'm going to separate feedback conversations from accountability conversations because we're going to be doing feedback in a different video. Look for that one soon. An accountability conversation is best used when a commitment or an action did not happen as expected or requested. I'm going to give you a very simple model for this. Number one is you want to start the conversation by reviewing the specific commitment or expectation, the agreed upon expectations. Now you can see why it's so important that you got that commitment, right? And you then want to share your perception or the progress or just stating the unmet expectation. And I recommend starting this by using like an I statement or a we statement. And I say that because if you say to somebody, you didn't do that, if that's the first thing out of your mouth, it puts people on the back foot, right? They get defensive. So then you're going to take some time to explore why the commitment was unmet. You want to explore the perspective. And then together, you're going to create a plan to resolve the unmet expectations. And then you're going to close out this conversation by reiterating and resetting expectations and commitment. Also in this conversation, you're going to find out if this person didn't meet expectations because they needed more assistance. So you are also going to provide assistance as needed, right? So you're going to name it, you're going to explore options, and then you're going to reset expectations and commitments. You have to hold people accountable. Whew! Who knew that delegation was so complex or so critical? Well, of course I did. So whether you're trying to delegate to develop your team or hold them accountable without turning yourself into the office micromanager, I want you to remember a couple of key takeaways. Number one, delegation is good for you, is good for your team, and is good for your organization. Delegation often requires us to let go and trust other people. Effective delegation means being very clear and explicit about the what, the why, the who, the when, the where, and the how. Delegation does not absolve you of the responsibility to hold others accountable. And finally, delegation can and should be a growth opportunity for you and your team. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found this helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can get more no BS, no fluff workplace tips. Plus, drop a comment below. Let us know if you've ever had a delegation horror story at work, because you know what? We've all had one. Okay then, until next time, I'll see you later.